welcome back to Six Ashes for episode 12 with me, MrSealyp. It's 8:07. We are day one of autumn. I'm still really concerned. I've got fields that are bouncing into harvested and I haven't had a single harvest contract still come up yet. I know I've got 6 days of autumn, maybe some more will, but the more fields that flip into harvested, the less there are going to be available for contracts, which is a bit worrying. My pig situation has reached the problem that my straw, I'm down to 55 litres. That's all I've got. So I'm coming up to the farm. We're up by field 9 and 8 is that side. I've been told I can come and get straw from up here, which is great. The money has gone up massively. When I say massively, we had a huge influx. We got £100,000 went into the bank account. That's because we bought that new property. If you missed the last episode, I would always suggest go back and start from the beginning and watch them all. They're all fantastic. You would love them. But if we go on to our menu, I bought this plot of land here with field 51. That has now been, let's go across to growth. That has been ploughed, and as you can see now, it has been fertilised twice. It has been limed, so that's all good to go. That will need another fertilising, but when that gets planted, that will seeded. That will need doing. But we own the land here, the farm silo. So the house we live in here, my wife and I, here, we have just sold that property, and my wife and I will be moving all of our stuff down the road into this property. So we got 100,000 from selling our house. Now I realise that's not a realistic price for a house. I mean, it depends where in the country you are, I suppose. But one of the provisos of selling the property, so although we have just got £100,000 for selling the property, one of the provisos, if you recall, we have got a loan secured on the property. It's how we managed to get the loan in the first place, was because it was secured on the house. So the first thing I've got to do before I do anything else is we've got to pay off the loan, because that's the proviso of selling the property, is the secured loan goes first. So we're going to repay the loan. How was the loan 95,000? Did I borrow? Oh, that's going to wipe it all out. I didn't think I'd borrowed that much. Oh well, fair enough. That leaves me £5,000 out the whole deal, but the loan's paid off, I guess. Oh, that's not as good as I thought it was going to turn out. Never mind. Okay, well, there we go. So, we're up here. Like I say, one of the neighbours has got straw and, well, hay as well if we need it, but I'm hoping we're going to be right. The ground moisture is pretty horrendous at the moment. A lot of my fields now are ready to cut again, but the moisture is sitting at around 28%, which if I cut it now will be wet grass, which will need tedding again to get dry grass. I'm not even convinced we're going to get any hay now because we're into autumn. I had a few people message me and let me know that through autumn they've tried it, they couldn't get any hay at all. If that's the case, so be it. That's what I said in the last episode. I'll cut it anyway if we do get lucky, the next couple of days. Again, if we look at the forecast, Today and Saturday are looking okay, no rain. Sunday we're due rain, but it's cloudy today, the temperatures aren't that high, there's not much sun, wind is 0, drying potential is pretty rubbish, I'll be honest. So the chances of actually getting anything, I think, are going to be pretty slim, but it's worth a try. Now, the thing as well is up here, when it's seasonal, straw has no value. So I can get a full load of straw here for absolutely nothing. Doesn't cost me a penny. They're more than happy to give it to me. I am going to pay them for it, of course. I might do a couple of loads, but what I'm going to do is make sure the pigs have got their bedding. I might do another load and stick it into our hayloft, and then what I will do is I'll pay the people here for the straw they've just given us. So a chunk, I haven't decided how much. I mean, they're happy to give it to us for free. But I think what we'll do is... whoa, that's cool. Just put my beacon on. And that's what happens on the back. That's mint. So anyway, yeah, what I'll do now, because unfortunately some of the fields that have bounced from ready to harvested are now offering me contracts to cultivate again. And I've done loads of cultivating. I've done, you know, I may well do some of those jobs, but I'm not going to do them on screen again. I need to find some work to do. So what I will do is go through the day again. We'll get into Autumn 2. See, hopefully, if we can get some harvesting jobs. If we don't, we can end up going right the way through and not getting any at all. Then we're going to be into winter. Work's going to be even harder to find. Potentially... thinking maybe that'll be when we'll get into forestry, because that's all that's really going to be available. Actually, I can go this way, can't I? Yeah, that's all that's really going to be available. And if the wood chip price rockets, if the price of lumber rockets, I can crack on with my little bit of forest that I've got. Maybe buy some more. If the price of total mix ration spikes at any point, I can sell a whole load of more total mix ration. And then we'll kind of look at moving into next year and what we can do. I was hoping to get the sheep underway this year, but I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, that's where we're at. I just thought I'd kind of give you a bit of a heads up. As you saw, it rained yesterday. It just, like I said it was going to, it just poured down till gone 9 o'clock at night, so wasn't a lot I could do really. Did a couple of fertilising jobs in the rain that probably shouldn't have done. I'll see you later on when something happens. That's not my leg falling off, that was that's MrSealyp dropping something in the kitchen. It's fine. I'm sure everything's okay. Yeah, so when something happens, something video worthy, then we'll see where we're at. Quick update on the pig situation. While I run down a second, I just paid them 3,000. Although we've just gone past another hour and my allotments have just made me a little bit of money. Not a huge amount, but a little bit. So I paid them 3,000 for the straw. It is that weird thing with seasonal work that straw has no... That can't be it. Seriously? Blimey. Okay, well it doesn't matter, I'll go and put this away. What I'll do is come and clean out their area. I want to thank Bear and Papa actually for the idea. I was taking, like I said, the because the amount of feed that I put in there initially, every time I clear up the feed area, it won't let me put it back in. It's just spilling on the floor again. So I was just dumping it on the floor. He suggested picking up the reusable pallets, which is a fantastic. I don't know why I didn't think of it. So I grabbed one of the reusable pallets from DD Mod Passion, and what I'm doing is when I'm clearing out the trough area, I'm putting the pig food into one of these. So rather than just being spilled out all over the floor, it goes into the pallet, which, you know, just keeps it tidy, and then if I get a full one I'll come back and kind of put it back in again. If not, I'll just continue to fill one up. Actually, I was going to try and turn around, but it's probably easier to back out. I say that. I think it's because the pigs were in the way initially, but some of them have moved now. So I'll grab the loader. A few people suggested getting the Merlot Turbo Farmer, which I could do. That does have the option of 3-point link on the back of it, but I'm going to stick with the Kramer for the time being. It's working just fine. And I think the only downside to the Merlot, I think it's something like 32 on the slot count, something like that. Fairly high. Mrs. Holland at the post office was asking me as well whether or not I would go back and cut the grass again, because when I was going around doing all the grass cutting to make as much silage and stuff initially, and then when I was trying to do hay the first time, I cut all round the post office for her, so she was very thankful for my help, which was lovely, very kind of her. I need to, once this is done, crack on and help my wife move some of our stuff from the house. I can't believe all that money went on. Not that I wasn't trying to do anything dodgy. I mean, I could have just said, you know, we just sold our house for 300,000, which may be a more realistic price, or 250 or whatever like that. I honestly thought I only had about 70 grand loan, 75. I thought I'd paid some off, but maybe not. Again, it is what it is. Can't do a lot about it. But at least the loan's now paid off. It does give me the option to borrow more if I need to. We've got a load of straw now. That's 2 loads. I thought it was going to take way more than that, but I suppose we have only got 10 pigs, haven't we? Stick this back round here. We've got a bit more barn space and building space now as well with the new farmhouse. Turn the lights off now, they're wrong because it was dark, it was raining yesterday. I thought I could do them on, but I don't need them on now. Let's turn those off. Close the gate, didn't I? So what I think I will do is check the price of things. Let's see how we are looking for wood chip, and I mean I can get 900 for wood chips up at the biogas plant anytime, which I suppose I could do if I'm scrapping around for work, but I want to leave that more for a winter job. Where am I going? 16. It's because of that relationship between how many animals you've got, and when it's saying how the feed area is, you know, it's only 73% clean, you think, oh no, but that's in relation to how many animals you've got. So that drop of 27% was made up of 16 litres of pig food. You got to look at it in the menu and think, oh, that's horrendous. Yeah, it was down to 70, so 30% cleanliness had dropped because of 16 litres. They are putting a weight, we're up to £428 now. I've got more saying 0.3 years before the next birth, and some are saying 0.2 now. So we are moving towards new births, which is where we want to be. There wasn't actually much manure to pick up, so I didn't bother. Right. I did say earlier on that I'd probably see you tomorrow, but I wanted to explain that while we're going through. Thank the relevant people and that kind of thing. I don't know. Crop moisture. If you're unfamiliar with this, if we go across to our settings menu for seasons, you can turn crop moisture off. So even if the crop moisture is saying it's too high, it will still allow you to, you can still do whatever you want to do. If you turn that off, I've left it on because I want it to be more kind of realistic. Now I'm regretting that because I'd like to be able to go out and cut all the grass now. But if I do that now, it's going to be wet grass, which is going to need tedding to make it into dry grass. So until that symbol up the top right next to the cloud, until that goes, there's not really a lot of point. I'll show you what I mean. Yeah, 26%. It is dropping. What's it need to be below? 20 for it to be considered dry grass? It was 20%. Somewhere. I know a couple of people commented when I mentioned it last time. Anyway, yeah, I really am going to see you later. Oh, hang on. I just suddenly thought of something. Scrolling across that menu. I could plant. Temperature's high enough. I'm just thinking, I've got 3 fields now. I could stick canola in the ground, couldn't I? If I want to make a bit of money, canola. But if I want potential, I mean, hopefully we don't suddenly have a cold snap and it just drops off. I won't be able to harvest it until, you know, midway through summer next year, but I could get some in the ground now. Hopefully I don't get a germination failed or anything like that, but again, it doesn't hurt to try, does it? Maybe wheat, barley or oats, maybe. Oats need a higher temperature. I could do, couldn't I? That would give me something to do now. My field's available that I can actually plant into. I've got field 41 here, a little bit, there's only a small bit, but I've got some there. I've got field 26 and field 24 just there. Oh, and I've got my massive field, haven't I? I forgot about the huge field, field 51. Maybe, but is that worth a punt, is it? I know I won't get a second crop out of it this year. I won't be able to harvest it until next year, but I can get it in the ground now. At least get it going, maybe. I'll give that some thought. Potentially, if I don't have to buy myself. I wanted to get that solitaire seeder because I think that'll work absolutely brilliantly. Maybe I'll do that. You know what I'm going? We'll have a cup of tea first. Go and see my wife. Have a cup of tea. Move a few boxes. And then we'll see what we're going to do. It's day 2 of early autumn. I did cut grass yesterday. It may work out. It's actually still quite dark because the sun's coming up. 7:30. I'm just going to move. I'd cut all over the place. All the fields I own. I didn't go for, you know, people's gardens and that kind of thing. But the rain that was supposed to come, not today, tomorrow, according to the weather forecast, is not now. Today, not too bad. Sunday, sunny. Monday, bit overcast. So we've got a couple of days now. We've also got, down at the bottom, today, we've got drying potential with some pluses. Sunday, potentially. I don't want it to go that long. Maybe. We might get lucky. We might get some hay. Again, if we don't, it's not horrendous, but the weather has changed a little bit. Just goes to show the long range forecast, when you look ahead a few days, can look quite bad and it can change dramatically. Still no harvest contracts, so I've decided I am going to seed, and I've decided I'm going to buy a seeder too. Will that go across all 3? No. Thought it might. Ooh. It's heavier than I thought it was going to be. Let's just drop it there, shall we? Still using the big bag handler from the CSN pack by DD Mod Passion. Love it. The front lifter, the 3-point link on a pallet. Like I said, I couldn't remember who the model was. It's Pepe978. That's the manufacturer of the crated 3-point link, which I've got on the back of my Kramer. If we go in and have a look now, fertilising, baling, fertilising, cultivating. Still no harvesting. My field of sunflower isn't ready to go yet. And I kept saying about, you know, seeding now being a risk. It's not a... I'd say it's not a risk. I mean, the thing about it is, I know I've mentioned this already, but if we look at the top, we are in the green. We are in a planting window again. I think it's that difference between getting 2 crops, double cropping in a year, which means you're going to get a crop in, a harvest, a crop in and a second harvest. And the difference between taking a crop out and putting another one in, I suppose it depends how you view it. But this is my first harvest, so I can't see the temperature. Look at the long range forecast plummeting over the next few days, in which case whatever I put in should germinate. There's still a risk. There's going to be an element of risk. So one thing I found with doing seasonal work before, oh hang on, and I've mentioned this quite a few times already, that you can do everything right and things can still go wrong. That's just, you know, the weather can throw you a curveball, you can get something happen you weren't expecting. It happens. I'm going to get the Lemkin Solitaire 8. I did cut all the grass around. We are now moved in, everything's all sorted, we're in our new property. So I cut all the grass there, just the other side around the silo, and I also cut around the edge of this field. What I'm going to do is put wheat into my large field here to my left. The smaller fields I'm going to put canola in. So at least when we do come around to harvest, I will have straw swath off my own fields. But that's not going to be around till next summer. But that again, we're planning ahead. Oh, that's a point. That was something I didn't think about doing, which is probably not a bad idea. Let's just jump through the hedge. Was looking at the field itself. So what I want to do is put on... What do I want to put on? Field info. Right, owned by me, fertilised 66%. Previous was legume, and before that was oilseed. So I haven't got to worry. That's okay. I mean, I can now, if I want to, go into my planner and try and plan ahead for... Turn that off again. If I go across to my rotation planner, rotation plan A. So it was legume, no, it was before that, it was an oil seed, wasn't it? And then the last crop in was a legume. So it doesn't matter as long as it says legume on there above it. So for example, soybean. So if I now go down and put in wheat, for example, brilliant. So if I look back at the previous two, legume was previous, before that was an oil seed. So that's what I've put in above and then the one above that. So looking at that, if I now put wheat into this field, which is what my plan was, it's going to be a 1.2, which is going to give me a good yield. If I'd have gone into that and it had been a couple of other things, maybe it had been a cereal crop before, had I decided, actually the other way to do that, is if I go in and put in a cereal crop like oats, you'll now see the one below. If I was going to put wheat in it now, I wouldn't get as high a yield. It's a 0.95. So it doesn't hurt to come in and check the rotation planner. I haven't checked the other fields yet, but at least I know for this one, if I do put wheat in it, it'll give me a 1.2 based upon the field info saying that it was previous legume, before that an oilseed. So it doesn't hurt to have a look. I mean, the yield differences aren't huge, but it will make a difference on a big field. So I've cut that one as well. What we need to do is get cracking. It's still the thing I think I'm struggling with the most is I know I keep forgetting to do it, I'm sorry. When I'm checking things out off camera, I put the time back down to ×1, and then when I keep coming back on and forgetting. Apologies for that. I do need to look at getting a harvester, but then obviously I've got no harvesting jobs that have come up, so it's not really that relevant. As far as seeders go, couple of options I was looking at. I do want to go for the Solitaire. So the Solitaire 12800, 77 grand, it's not cheap, it's only 5 slots, which is pretty good. 5,800 litre tank, which is absolutely brilliant. But there are these two that I used when I did Holmokra. And for 25 grand, although it doesn't actually have a seed tank, the planter does, but only a small one. If you get a front tank, you can keep that cost right down. If a front tank costs you, what do they cost? We're looking at, I think the seed one there is 16.4, but there are the ones with the planters. This is the one I generally go for, the FH2200, because it's 2,200 litres, is 8 grand. So for a cost of, what, 33,000, you've got yourself a 6 metre planter, or seeder, with 2,200 litre tank capacity, as opposed to the 77 grand I'm going to spend out. But I'm going to be spreading it 8, or seeding at 8 metres rather than 6. Again, horses for courses. You might think I'm going cheap as possible. That's great. If you're going to do that, you want to go for the the John Deere 8350. But the 8350 doesn't fold, in which case getting it down tight lanes is really, really tricky. I haven't used this one before. I like the look of it. I want to try something different, so that's what I'm going to go with. So this is us investing now. Oh, we can change the main colour. No, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it Lemkin, I think. Do I want to change the tyres? I'm going to stick it on narrows. Not for any particular reason. Actually, you know what? It's going to cost me more money. There's no point. Right. We now own our own seeder. Time to go and fill it up. And then we'll get onto the field. We'll get our wheat put in. And what I'll have to do is go to each of the other fields, check the field info just to make sure that my plan of what I want to put in will work. With the fact that we have got a sunflower crop in the ground on that little field up the top by the allotment, we are going to get our own at least one of our own harvests done this year. It's just not ready to go yet. So, down to our Maries. Let's grab ourselves some seed. Turn that off, that off. Actually, no, I'll keep that on. And from the lane where our Maries is, we can actually get into this field. There's a gate along that lane, so crack on with that. Actually, should I do the other fields first because they're smaller and then finish on this one? That's probably not a bad idea because I can get the other ones done kind of fairly quickly. That one's going to take a long time, so I'm better off finishing on that one, and then I can kind of, you don't have to see me do the entire field. I'm not sure. Do I need to open this to put seed in? We'll see. 5,800 litres of seed from Anne-Marie shouldn't cost me too much, although we are down to 22 grand. I'm keeping an eye on the price of total mixed ration. If that goes up, I might sell another load just to keep us solvent. We should be alright. Can't odds that, can you? Cannot odds that at all. This is probably actually going to be a little bit big for our field 41 next to the farm. A little bit tight in places. I should have to field in for one, shouldn't I? planner has always been one of those. It kind of makes sense, and I've always assumed the way I've been doing it, I've been reading it correctly, previous and before previous, and that's what you put into your planner. You know. That kind of makes sense. Right. Let's go back into field info on. Oh, oilseed and oilseed. That's an interesting way to go about it. Right, so let's go with, that's oilseed. Oilseed. So if I want to put canola in. Oh, that's not oilseed as well, isn't it? Ugh. No. Which means it's going to leave me, because all I can plant at this time of year is going to be oat, barley, or wheat, all of which will be at a 1.2, so it doesn't really matter what I put in. I think I'll probably go for... Should I go for oats in that one? Doesn't matter. So to change that then, yeah, we'll go barley. Let's open it up. Risky seeding, here we go. This hasn't got a bad pace either. I think it only requires 120 horsepower as well, so I've got 195. That's not an issue either. And once I put the seed in, I can then go over again with the fertiliser. So on the couple of fields that need another bit, we should be alright. Got the field. We'll do that bit slightly separately, get a couple of headlands in. Oh, it's a nice feeling. Doing it for ourselves. We're not going to get huge amounts off these fields. It doesn't really matter. Hopefully over the winter, if we do a load of logging, if we do make good money doing a bit of logging over the winter, then we'll invest that money in some more land. I want to get another nice big grass field and then maybe another large field. That at least is the plan for next year. I want to get a larger tractor. Whether I'm going to sell this one, like replace it, I think I might do. Or potentially we'll see how we get on. I could replace the Same, but the Same was really cheap. And it serves a purpose, so even if I just keep that on for doing, like I said before, just doing fertilising or lime spreading, probably isn't too much of a problem, so I could upgrade this one. Turn it back on. Cruise control back, so I'm going to lift that up, turn, doesn't race off, that's better. think the last time I used an 8-metre seeder was probably when I was farming around Geiselsberg and I had the Vladistat Rapid A600, A800. I think. Nearly there, so once this one's done, we'll head up to the allotments, check out those ones, check out the field info. Might be able to get canola in one of them. Fantastic. Let's head up there. We're at field 26. This is our field next to it that's got our sunflowers in, which are growing, although not much fertiliser on that one, but I couldn't do a lot about that. That's how I got it. This one is saying oilseed, so there you go, oilseed, so it's going to be the same again, unfortunately, which only leaves the last one, field 24. It's been the potential for maybe getting, I mean, not that putting canola in is the be all and end all, but I'm going to do a different crop. So fingers crossed for germination, fingers crossed we don't get a sudden plummet in temperatures or freak storm or anything weird happen. I will see you in a minute when this is done. We'll see if we can get a different crop in the ground. I mean, it does mean I'm going to have loads of straw at the end of the day when I come around to harvest next year. Won't have a problem with that because I can have straw spots on all of these. Right, field 24 is nightshade and root, so I've already checked. If I go nightshade and then root, potatoes and sugar beet, if I want to put canola in this one, that's a 1.14, that's the highest. There's nothing I can put in here that goes to 1.2. I could put sunflowers in, but the highest is 1.14, so I might as well go for the canola. That's what I'm going to do. Change that. Thinking actually while I'm doing this, it's only going to be, what's the date today, 20th, 21st, what's it today, 20th of October, is it November the 12th, the Alpine expansion DLC comes out, I'm sure it's the 12th, isn't it? For some reason I had it made the 14th, I'm sure when I looked the other day it said the 12th, so not long. Some new bits of equipment. I was looking at doing, because I used to way back do the fact sheet Fridays, and then I started doing the fact sheet roundups rather than doing one each week. I was doing, but there's a lot of equipment coming out in this one. I was downloading and printing off a load of sheets and information and the pictures to do the fact sheet roundup. But I think we're up to 18, and we've still got a couple of Fridays, 2 or 3. For more fact sheets to come out, so I'm not quite sure how I'm going to go about it, but yeah, not long now. and that'll be coming out. I was wondering if anyone was going to buy up the farms locally, because they are still vacant. It's going to be a long time before I can afford to move into them. I just didn't realise my cultivator's sitting there. I still haven't moved it back to the farm. I'll have to whiz out and do that at some point. Any particular piece of equipment in that pack that people are looking forward to? It may be you're new to the game, maybe you're not even aware that the expansion is coming out. New map has been kind of completely revamped. Different modders and people working for Giants. I think the guy that's worked on the roads, I'm sure again, I think I've said this before, but I'm sure I read this somewhere. He worked on racing games, so the roadways and road systems have been developed by this particular guy, and they're supposed to be smoother and better, and you know, there's new trees and all sorts of stuff. There's a whole load of new stuff coming with it. New season, Farm Sim League, will be starting in end of November, I think it is. There'll be some new teams joining the fray. Some of the teams have mixed up in the off-season. Some manufacturers have been poaching players from other teams, and so it's going to be interesting for the new season coming up. Great demand at the garden centre. What is the great demand for, I wonder? I don't know why I went that way. Garden centre. Digestate. It's not a bad price actually. I don't have any, but it's not a bad price. Yeah, as far as commentating goes, casting, I have been asked if I want to take part again for the new season. With the whole social distancing, travelling and that kind of thing, I think the first few are going to be remote. So I think for the German guys, they're going to be in the studio. For myself, Silver News, Virtual Farmer, whoever it is, for each one that's going to be taking part, we're going to be joining remotely to do the stream commentating. And then hopefully at some point, if travel restrictions and rules and regulations loosen a little bit, we should be travelling to events and stuff again. But yeah, looking forward to that. Okay, once this one's done, we'll head over to field, I want to say 51, and then we'll get wheat in the ground on that one. Seed's holding up pretty well so far. Probably a bonus we're getting this one, I think. Again, I know it's a bit more expensive, but having the much larger seed tank means that you haven't got to go backwards and forwards, refilling as often. It looks nice as well. I like it. And on to the last of the fields, field 51. Switched over to wheat. This is a much bigger field, so it's going to take quite a while. I think we're going to be well into... Is there a gate there? Oh, I thought it was a gate. It's alright, we'll jump out and sort that out. Yeah, we're going to be well past lunchtime by the time we get this one done. really bumpy. We're over a little bit. Let's come back a little bit. It's a bit better. Yeah, compared to the other three. Well worth the investment though. Oops. And with that, everything crossed. 1, the grass to turn to hay. 2, we don't have any problems with the seeds for germination and plant growth. It does mean they're moving into spring next year. Unless we buy any new fields between now and then, we won't have to plant anything. This will just work its way through, which is going to be quite handy. Takes the pressure off a little bit, doing some of the work now, because with it set on ×5 as well, the days fly by so quickly, so it's utilising the time you've got when you can, you know. I don't want to get around to spring and run out of days to get stuff done, so it makes sense. Plus it will free up some time then if any contracts come up. Potentially for making bales and stuff next year, depending on how many of my silage bales I use over the course of this year. So yeah, this is where we're at. We are moving forward. Every episode, a little bit more gets done, something else gets bought. We now have our own seeder, which is great. I wanted to look at getting a planter at some point. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you're still enjoying it. If you have, if you are, give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. And if you want to share this video, then please be my guest. Whatever you should choose to do. As always, thanks for watching.